go nuts if you want to. Or you can play reserved and consistent. It's kind of up to you.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then if something doesn't work out in your first game, just try something different in the second game and just see how that works. But we are gonna get this started immediately. Yeah, I think the uncle's done that a couple of times by this point, and we're gonna get some bombs inside Link's house.
Yeah, you think Uncle would have learned by now, but you know what? I think we're better off for it because he is gonna give us that randomized weapon.
Yeah, for sure. 7 weapon possibilities we can get here at Uncle. Each one has its own unique strats. As we get a map check really quick, we have 2 crystals and the green pendants in Desert Palace.
Okay, interesting. We'll see if that desert comes into play. Desert being one of those dungeons that has a few more requirements to get into than typical dungeons, so see if these guys go for it. But it looks like we do have the blue cane coming in here. That cane of Burna. Gonna have to manage our magic really well to get through here.
Yes, we will. Going to be using some bully strats, as I like to call them. Just kind of running into guards, kind of using that shield and protective barrier to kind of get rid of them. And like you said, yeah, they'll be using pretty much all of their magic. There are places where they can restock the magic throughout, but if you don't get any of those, you're pretty much using a whole magic meter just for that. And thankfully we got bombs, so we don't have to worry about farming. So, shouldn't be too bad for these runners, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's really fortunate that we got those 3 bombs. Like, if worst comes to worst, you can use one of those to kill maybe the rat in the sewers or something. But
that is true, yeah.
Yeah, but certainly great for getting those 3 chests at the end of Escape. So you see Jet kind of not even wasting any time on farming here. He's just go, 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 taking a slight little lead here over Yagamoth.
And looks like we just have a piece of heart in the first chest of Escape. Oh, and using a pot to farm actually 1 bomb from that blue guard there in that corner.
That is certainly a quick strat to see if he can get some more value, and value he got. As you can see, you really want to turn on that blue cane like right when you get up to the guard, otherwise you're using a little more magic than you want to.
Ooh, and get another blue item in our possession. We have the flute. Gonna definitely come in handy, especially in early light world. Just nice to have a little more movement around the world without having to just walk very long distances to get to certain places.
Yeah, that's super nice before we even get to Kakariko, because you'll be able to activate it immediately once you get there.
And yep, gonna get some pot strats here for the ball and chain guard.
Play it nice and safe. There's the key we need to get through the sewers.
Yeah, still looks like Jet is about that same 1 room ahead. So again, still fairly close at this point.
Yeah, and early flute is actually kind of an interesting thing because it opens up Death Mountain as a play that can be made early. We know a lot of players in this tournament aren't afraid to go for those sequence breaks, especially lampless strats, and check out what the old man has, and could go up to Spectacle Rock and see what's on top and inside. And then obviously Agahnim, a very out-of-the-way location, can be accessed in Ice Rod Cave as well. So that flute's certainly going to be an interesting thing to see if these guys kind of go out of their way for some of these remote locations.
Yeah, Agahnim is definitely one of those locations where, it's there from the very beginning. At some point you really want to get that checked out, but it's just so hard to make that play to go over there. But with the flute, it definitely makes that a little more inviting. You can go straight to desert. You can see what's on the desert ledge as well. So it does make that one location play a little more inviting for sure.
Definitely. But I suspect, we'll see the full Kakariko tour.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because you got to get that flute activated anyways.
Also showing that they do know where there are heart pickups in this little section here, because with Cane of Burna, you don't have the novelty of using it very much, so good to know where those heart locations just in case you do get a little low.
Yeah, it looks like Yagamoth's having a little trouble with some of the snake RNG there. So definitely good that, you know, he was stocked up on health before coming in here. Don't have the luxury of using that magic. You can see they're both holding on to the same amount just to be safe.
Yeah, the rats tried to get away from him right there, but Jet was able to track him down in time. So Jet is done, and so is Yagamoth. So they made it through without having to revisit old rooms to get more magic, which is always nice.
They're going to be sitting at the same bomb count. Yagamoth picking up a nice little bomb drop there. So pretty much set for Kakariko at this point. So you need 3 bombs to really get through, unless, I guess, the race game. But you may have an opportunity to buy bombs before that.
Yes, and it looks like we've already gotten 4 heart pieces with that container we got in the last room of escape. Up to 5 hearts right now before we even leave an escape. Don't really see that too often.
That's great. I like that. Whew! And a sword already! Wow.
Oh yeah, definitely. Getting that sword after finishing escape. Okay, here's your reward for doing an escape list with no swords, so here you go. I'm going to give you one at the very end.
That is really interesting. Doesn't really help them too much right now. I mean, it'll help them, like, fight through Mini Moldorm Cave or whatever they need to do in Eastern Palace, but certainly just a nice thing to have. Lets you use one of your buttons.
Yeah, it lets you use one of your buttons. You have a weapon that doesn't need ammo or magic. You know, it's something stable you have at this current point in time.
It's like only hearts dropping from the hoarders, the bush crabs there, so nothing too important.
And just 50 rupees on the lumberjack ledge, so at least for right now, we know we're not going to be beating Agahnim for that item, but you know, we don't have our Dark World access yet, so we very well could have to go through there for that at the very least.
Yeah, and we have one piece of the puzzle with a sword. If we get another sword upgrade and the lamp, oh hey!
Oh, you were saying, there we go.
Then we can defeat Agahnim and see what's on the pyramid. Probably going to be one of the last thing these guys do, especially with that flute, being able to access some of the remote locations.
And getting a bottle from the forest hideout in here, so that's going to be a sick kid check when we get to that area.
Very nice. That is just nice routing. You can just take care of it.
And now if they somehow come across the hammer and the powder, we could also get rid of the magic bat check as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Get that full Kakariko bingo taken care of.
That's right. Well, these guys both, with their great game knowledge, realizing, hey, there's a lot of bombs in these trees, which normally isn't a nice thing to have in real life, but in this case is fantastic.
Yeah, I need those bombs for those early Light World checks, as we do find the Master Sword. So Agahnim is within logic right now.
Oh, goodness. See, now this is really interesting, because this is where you can start making some fun gambles.
Yes,
like
I
you
agree.
go over to Eastern and check, 6 items. You go down to South Shore. Probably go to South Shore. I mean, a lot of people do after Kakariko, but after all the lucrative stuff, do you take those one-offs or do you just jump right into Agahnim? It's a tough call.
Yeah, because if they come across those Dark World items, it'd be such a time sink if they do make that tower play, as we do get the Quake Medallion inside the well for our first item.
Another bottle here in the well, so nice safeties, a little more money.
Well, we do have to spend some money at the bottle vendor, so it's good we have that, and also good to be starting to work on our Zora Fund as well, as we only get 10 arrows from the bottle vendor.
We got our Swag Duck anthem playing right now simultaneously for both of our runners.
Yeah. It's almost like there's an echo in the room because we're hearing it twice.
That's right.
Okay, so now we're gonna get the chicken house check here for the flippers.
Wow, we're getting a lot of items thrown at us here pretty quickly. It's opening up a lot.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of like very early like light world locations are becoming available to us. So, I can definitely see our runners trying to find that dark world progression before even thinking about Agahnim, because again, while I was looking like it might be an Agahnim seed, you just don't want to go up there and then find out later that, okay, I didn't have to do this. And it's just such a demoralizing feeling if you make that gamble.
Yeah, it's a few minutes time sink, and I mean, Master Sword is an okay weapon. Like the game is kind of designed with that in mind, from a vanilla perspective, but it's still fairly slow.
Yeah, for sure.
Then you have to deal with all those nasty blue balls and stuff too. Things get out of control.
Oh, and I guess Eastern Palace is also a red crystal on top of just being a crystal dungeon, so that'll also be some valuable intel for our runners, as we see a blue mail on top of the race game.
And Jet says no. Yagamoth just YOLOing the race game here is going to be rewarded with that blue mail, so we'll see if that armor difference actually matters here, but maybe not.
Okay, and maybe he knew. Maybe he knew this whole time.
How did you know, Jet? How did you know?
That's why they're always Jet seeds. He knows.
That is hilarious. But Yagamoth will be sitting on red mail, so that is still a significant difference.
Yeah, he will definitely have more defense going into the later parts of this game, so that'll definitely be an advantage for him as Jet is making his way over to Mini Moldorm Cave next.
Alright, 5 items in here. We have sword beams, so you can really easily and quickly take out these mini Moldorms. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, sword beams not really that helpful against too many bosses because they do such low damage, but in this early game, definitely good to attack enemies from a distance.
Lots of health going on here. We're already at 7 hearts. Get a red orang as well.
Yeah, 7 hearts with mail upgrades too, so, once they do get Dark World access, they'll definitely feel a lot more comfortable dealing with the increased damage output of those enemies.
For sure. Looks like Jet's gonna check out Ice Rod Cave now. Again, that flute coming in handy.
Still lacking on the rupees for right now for a potential Zora play, though, so, wondering how they'll handle that if they do decide to check out some of the other Zora and Flipper-related items before making the play over to Zora itself.
Yeah, certainly a lot of options for deviations, and yet another full heart over in Ice Rod Cave, as we see Yagamoth going up to the mountain.
Yeah, we have a bit of a slight divergence here. Gonna see what's on the Death Mountain side of things. And Jet's going to Eastern, so yeah, true divergence in every sense of the word.
3 items at Sahasrahla is certainly a lucrative play, but you typically want to get this save and quit point with the old man, so not really any time lost here, and you get an item for it too.
Just a blue rupee, but we do have another check we can make on top of this mountain as well, and if that ends up being the bow or something, I mean, this could be like an Eastern play for Yagamoth, could be a bit more rewarding for him as opposed to Jet at this current point.
Certainly. And I like the old man play there because we do have the lamp. Like, we're not sequence breaking anything, so it's kind of a nice hint, per se. It looks like Jet is going to jump right into Eastern.
Ooh, I think that was the powder we have inside Spectacle Rock.
I believe so. So that will open up an item at the Magic Bat eventually, but we do need a hammer or a lot of items to use the mirror. We need like mitts and mirror and moon pearl in order to actually use that the other way.
Yeah, and we still have not gotten any of those Dark World items yet either, so, you know, this really could be an Aga play at this point.
Oh yeah, certainly. I'm wondering who will take the dive first, or if they'll exhaust all their options. Only a map in this first chest in Eastern. Without the bow, we cannot complete the dungeon, so if we do find the compass along the way, that means Armos will hold the final item.
This is true. Yagamoth going over to the Ice Cave to pick up his 8th heart container.
Bomb's first item there in Eastern. Where are you going, Yagamoth? What's your plan?
Looks like he is going to be checking out these Zora items next. Or at least all the items but Zora, anyway.
Yeah, this is really interesting, because Jet might have delayed these checks because he's like, maybe I can find some more money over in the Eastern Sahasrara area. I can even pick up 90 rupees in the rupee room if I want. But, you know, he's not finding very much money right now, and neither is Yagamoth for that matter, and Zora is in the logic right now.
Yeah, it definitely is, and you know, that's the thing. The game might be requiring our runners to kind of do some rupee grinding for a while.
Yep, the logic never checks to see, oh, you have this much money available? No, you can just farm it wherever, you know, you have an available location. So in this case, Blind's house may be the most optimal location other than the Houlihan room, which you can get, you know, 200 rupees. That'll get them a good ways there, but without gloves, it's pretty slow.
Yeah, and it looks like Yagamoth is going to be heading over to the Eastern Palace area now, so he's going to be joining Jet very soon as Jet picks up the big key. Only one more chest to check here in Eastern.
We have found 2 items so far in Eastern, so if this is an item, then Jet will know that he's got all the items in Eastern, but Eastern is one of our 5-6 crystals, which may be important to clear out, you know, once we get that bow.
Well, that 300 will help for Zora, at the very least. And yeah, go into the back to get those 90 rupees you were talking about. So definitely, you know, this was a good play just for that reason alone. Just helping with that Zora grinding.
That is really fortunate for Jet. So he will likely be making that Zora play now. And maybe we'll see Hobo. We haven't seen Hobo yet. And
oh, that's true.
Yeah. But we know none of the items in Waterfall Ferry or the Zora Ledge are going to be of any worth.
And yeah, I think with that, you know, unless we get some like other items that will potentially like add extra locations, and hello Ether Medallion on the island, you know, there's not very many spaces left, and we still need 3 Dark World items, so there's a potential that we may have to just make the play on Agahnim anyway.
It's really looking like it. I mean, we got Agahna's Cave, I think.
Yeah,
okay. Zora.
Yeah, Agahna's Cave, Zora, and Aggie, yeah, and Hobo, yeah, 3.
Okay, then. We have a Temperate Sword already.
Okay. Well, that does make Aghanim's Tower easier.
Certainly will. That is a really nice thing to find early on in the seed, because, I mean, most runners are just happy with that. That's all they need. They don't need silver arrows. They don't need butter sword. They're good once they get tempered.
Yeah, it's less you have to think about at the absolute end game, and that's, you know, that can be a scary thing to think about, because you're always thinking, did my opponent get Tempered Sword? Does my opponent have silvers? You want to feel comfortable in that fight, and it's hard to unless you have like the Tempered Sword.
Certainly. Now, what's interesting here is if we do have to make this Agahnim play, and what the Seed wants them to do is to go to Palace of Darkness, let's say there's nothing on the pyramid of value, then Jet will need to grind some more rupees here.
Yes, he will. That 20 on the ledge will help a little bit, but yeah, they're going to need some more even with that.
But here we go. This could be really big for Jet, because Yagamoth having to revisit maybe take a while. Okay, then.
Thanks for 200 here, have 300 back.
Well, I guess we're fine for pod now.
Yeah, we're fine for pod. I still think Jet might check. Yeah, it looks like he's going to check Agahnim before making the official play. But yeah, I want to say we have an Agahnim seed here. Oh, he still has to do the Death Mountain stuff too. That's right.
Yep, just gonna clean this up, and we'll see how Yagamoth reacts to these 300 rupees here.
And he'll be exactly at 500, so we'll even go back in for the 90 in the back.
Yeah, he's just piecing out. He was thinking for a second, and he's like, wait, the math works out, let's go. Hopefully he'll grab his Tempered Sword while he's out here. Jet getting bodied by all those boulders and dead rocks. Ouch.
Yeah, he did not eat his vegetables last night, so the Brussels sprouts are just not wanting to play around today.
If you don't eat them, they'll eat you.
Exactly.
Alright, so Tempered Sword for Yagamoth here. Where are you going next? He's got his flute out.
He still needs to spend his rupees, but going to Agonon's cave first.
Okay, so 300 more on the ledge. I think Jet might be joining him since he's starting up here on the mountain.
So yeah, at this point, the only difference is that Jet's actually checked Zora while Yagamoth is not. So Yagamoth still has to make that check. Could even opt to not make the check because he knows that statistically right now, Agahnim will just lead to more. As we do get the hammer.
Wow. So that was an important play to make.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But that doesn't actually unlock anything but the magic bat, which I think we'll probably be seeing very soon.
That's true, yeah, we do have the magic bat now.
Yeah, Yagamoth is beelining it there. I mean, you know, when the game throws you this check very early on, you've got to be a little suspicious.
Mm-hmm. That's the way the routing works. Like, once you get a progression item, you know, it makes something available for that next progression to be. So this is now available, so this is the check you need to make.
And as you mentioned earlier, you know, these runners are just staying as far away from Agahnim as they can. Oh my goodness! That Moon Pearl.
You see, at this point, Yagamoth almost has to check Zora now, because, you know, Zora, for all he know, could have the Power Glove.
That's so true, but it looks like their run ends here, and Agahnim is still forced.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely still going to be forced at this point, because, yeah, we have no other progression at the moment, and we're going to have to go to Dark World and once we get to Dark World, we can go to even like South Dark World with the hammer through
That's
the.
true.
So there are a lot of items to check, but Yagamoth is actually going straight for Agahnim, not bothering with Zora right now. So does take a slight lead from the Zora skip. Might come back later if he has Mirror and he's checking Catfish or something, but gonna, he knows the writing's on the wall, so he's just gonna go ahead and go for it.
Yeah, and maybe he's thinking, oh, I already checked the area. It's just one item. What are the odds? We have everything we need to do this. I've got a tempered sword, for crying out loud. Let's take care of this right now.
He knows his opponent is Jet, so he's definitely thinking about that too. This is going to be a statistically acceptable gamble for me to make right now.
And you're right. Like, this isn't just about playing the game. You got to play your opponent too.
Yeah, going up through Aghanim's tower, we do have the tempered sword, which will make this section a lot easier. Most enemies will go down in one hit, and that's very nice to have here.
Certainly. And when it's all said and done, we'll have kind of just two directions to go. Obviously, if there's something on the pyramid that might change things, but we can either go to that South Dark World, check out Hype Cave, we can do Stumpy and Digging Game, or we can go to Palace of Darkness, which could be bow locked. It's a tough call.
Yeah, that's true. We did get some options, not many, but there are a couple of options we have to work with, and that's the thing of Randomizer. Sometimes you just have to weigh those options and just try to find out the best routing decision that's going to work for you in this particular seed.
Ooh, Yagamoth struggling a little bit. Good thing that red mail is keeping him a bit alive here.
Yep, again, that's one advantage he will have. One slight advantage he'll have over Jet here. He does have that red mail. And this could be another thing Yagamoth might be thinking. He knows that if he goes to Zora, he has to spend 500 rupees, and he could be thinking Palace of Darkness right now. He doesn't know Zora is going to give a 300 refund.
That's a really great point. Yeah, save your money, because more than likely you have to do this anyways. Because then you're stuck farming up. I mean, obviously he wouldn't, but
right.
But I do suspect that both of these players will head down towards the lucrative Hype Cave.
I think so too. 5 items, and you also mentioned Stumpy in the Digging Game. That's kind of in that area as well. So, there's a good amount of items there. You don't want to necessarily go to Pod right now without that bow.
Looks like so far Agahnim is being pretty nice on the blue balls.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I believe just one so far.
And hey, if you have to shoot some blue balls, it may as well just be one.
That's right. All right, so what's here on the pyramid? Oh, and we're gonna get a Dark World check. Looks like Red Crystal and Swamp, and then Thieves and Pod are our other pendants.
Yep, that is correct. And just arrow capacity upgrade on the pyramid, so gonna hop on down and not worry about that.
Alright, and both of these players busting out their hammers. I think they're both going south here.
Yeah, they do not want to make that pod play just yet. Want to see if they can maybe secure a bow or even like a hookshot or something to get to the other side of the Dark World.
Well, it is Hype Cave after all, so I hope everybody's getting hype for a sweet Hype Cave here. 5 items. Let's go.
Okay, the generous guy in Hype Cave, he's going to give us a heart piece.
That was a refill.
That's pretty hype. The gloves, the bow, red rupee, and silver arrows. That's
Wow!
hype right there.
That is incredible hype. Man, I'd be thinking about heading right back to Palace of Darkness right now, but it is
I
a
would be
pendant.
too.
It is a pendant. It's a tough call.
Oh, that's true. It looks like he's going for it, though.
Yeah, it's that or Catfish now with those gloves, but the world has opened up considerably for both of these players.
Oh, for sure, definitely. Yeah, that gave us Palace of Darkness access completely. Allows us to finish Eastern Palace now, and the gloves to top off. Just, you know, kind of better Dark World access in general. So a lot of places we can go now.
And look at this, both players 30 minutes in, finding that value in Hype Cave, have decided to go for Palace of Darkness. They're both going there. That's crazy.
I know.
Pendant Pod, the dream.
Well, I mean, it has 5 items inside. There could be. It's like its own personal Hype Cave in a sense.
That's true. And it will be a fairly quick clear. It would be nice to have the mirror, but they do have silvers to take care of a lot of stuff in here.
And tempered sword plus silver arrows. Ganon is definitely not a concern anymore at all.
I mean, he's probably already scared.
Oh yeah. Ganon's the one terrified right now.
That's why he's inside of a pyramid.
Yeah.
Now, this is really interesting, because Thieves Town is also clearable as a pendant right now. And, the only crystal dungeon that's clearable is Eastern Palace. And I think they know they're not going to get any items out of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they're not, because I think we got all 3 items in there, so...
Right, so that's probably not going to be a priority until we have the ability to clear Swamp Palace to get the Pyramid Fairy items.
Now, if they got the mirror in here, that might be something they'll consider, because they can just, mirror out and clear that as soon as they're done with Palace of Darkness, but...
True. But pendants are their only options. And I'm not even talking about Pedestal right now, that's just what they can clear right now. I mean, obviously there's some overworld for them to do, but we might be seeing a lot of these pendant dungeons early on.
That's true. When you have the means to check a location completely, it's a viable option. There could be stuff beyond all of that blockage, so you got to think about this stuff.
Lots of keys here early on, and 20 rupees, I believe, as our first item there.
But we get all those keys for a purpose as we kind of go to the back of pot, which is definitely more lucrative as far as items are concerned.
Jet's struggling there a little bit with the beetles, but manages to land a bomb on them, stunning them. So that's one of the nice things about bombing the beetles. It just stuns them straight up.
Ooh, hello, mirror.
You mentioned it.
Yeah,
it is.
So...
Both of these guys probably really happy that they went for this play. Absolutely required item since we do have Swamp Palace in the mix for our crystal dungeons.
And you know, there's a lot of like mirror locations on the overworld that, you know, when you kind of go to that village of outcasts first and kind of clear that, and without the mirror, you have to go back so much for like all those one-off locations with the mirror. So it's good to get that early just to kind of better prepare yourself for the dark world exploration.
Jet, keeping track of the item locations and the key count here, managed to skip that harmless hellway below the 4 terrapin room, and has gained a little bit of time. So these guys are literally synced up here. Crazy.
Yeah, literally. I mean, this entire race so far has been just like at most a 2-room difference between the two. So, you know, they've been staying very close to each other, and they've been doing a good job of just kind of staying consistent and together at every turn.
Well, looks like we have a big deviation here.
Yeah, it looks like Jet is going to be finishing up the rest of Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, and Yagamoth is just going to go ahead and clean up that Eastern. So convenient. It's like they knew that mirror was there. But that is amazing. So if there is nothing at Helmasaur King and the pedestal holds nothing, then Jet has, you know, wasted all this time, effectively. Assuming Yagamoth does not come back.
I'm not sure. This could just be another, you know, calculated gamble of Yagamoth at this point. And, you know, if it does pay out, he's going to have a significant advantage not having to waste all of that time in the back of the pod. So we'll have to see how that plays out for him.
But, you know, just knowing Jet's play style, from seeing him quite a bit, I know he favors thorough checks. He doesn't make a lot of gambles like this. So that's likely something that we're just going to see consistently from him.
Yeah, I've definitely seen the same thing. He's very thorough, but like in his thorough checks, he really focuses on that execution too. So even if he is checking extra stuff, he has the execution to back it up, so he's not wasting too much time.
That's right. And we are going to see these Armos Knights go down very quickly here from Yagamoth. Just 1 silver arrow apiece as Jet jumps into the King Helmasaur fight. 17 hammer hits, and then more than likely a silver arrow to the dome. Oh, we're going with sword strats. That's just as fine.
Yeah, sometimes you don't really want to lock down that 1 silver arrow hit, so it's just kind of like more comforting to get those sword slashes in. And our item is just going to be a blue rupee, so a calculated gamble that's going to work out for Yagamoth here.
So far, so good. But Jet does also get that red pendant, which is a remote but important item if it does come down to the pedestal.
And yeah, it very well could. We're honestly not too far from all 3 pendants being in logic. We just need desert access, and you know, just have to find out if those boots are going to be required or not.
That's very true. But Yagamoth is going to put that mirror to work now and go up Death Mountain. We have Tower of Hera that we can explore. It is a crystal. We have a fire source, fully clearable. We've got all the weapons we need to take out Moldorm and get through this pretty quick dungeon. And then also East Death Mountain as well.
Definitely. Got to be thinking, like, I might find the Titan's Mitts by doing this, and that could give even more Death Mountain exploration. But we are going to have a bit of a coffee break here as Yagamoth heads to the basement. Do not have the big key yet, so that big key is going to be in the torch room.
I believe he skipped the vanilla small key location.
It was just bombs.
Oh, was it? Okay, I
Yes.
must have completely blanked. All right.
Yeah, he did check that.
Jet is almost at Armos Knight, so we'll see if he decides to head up the mountain as well, or if he has other plans.
You never really think about how slow that coffee break is when you're seeing like your opponent kind of just like blaze through several rooms of Eastern Palace during the course of that coffee break. But yeah, that tile room does kind of take up time.
But in this case, it's actually absolutely required.
Yeah.
So fortunately, you know,
Mhm.
for Yagamoth, like, it's not wasted time. He gets to
Yeah,
have a nice, enjoyable coffee break.
this is very true.
And Jet, deciding not to go to the mountain, has elected to instead go to Village of Outcasts area. Maybe we'll see a dip into Skull Woods. Really interesting.
Yeah, these divergences really do make it interesting because, you know, there is a possibility that, you know, this may not pay out for Yagamoth. There may be nothing at the top of Death Mountain.
Okay, I don't think I've ever seen that before. That was a
I
really
haven't.
cool bomb jump setup from Yagamoth there.
I know, that was really neat to see.
He, like, cascaded 2 bombs to get the placement. That's so awesome.
Another case of Link to the Past and Link to the Past randomizer runners just coming up with really interesting tech that you wouldn't even think of, and just seeing it executed is so well done.
Alright, Moldorm is down. What is our prize? A map. Lovely.
Yeah, unfortunately, just getting bombs and a piece of heart as the items for Tower of Hera. But like you said before, we do have east side of Death Mountain, and that's 8 items right there. So could find something over in that direction.
Yeah, we can even peek at what's on the floating island as well.
That's true.
Only 20 rupees there. Jet going through the statue room. Always a scary one with all these Gibdos and Wall Masters all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
He makes it look easy. It's not.
It's definitely not, as we get a piece of heart from the big key chest.
Alright, no fire rod, so we cannot continue.
We have a book, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so there's our access to Desert Palace. Oh boy, if it's not boots locked, we could see mitts on the pedestal, which could be a treat. Not a very
really
opportune thing. Yeah. Ooh. So 7 more items here in Paradox Cave.
Ooh, the cape and a piece of heart in the first part.
There's a shield upgrade, so we're at Fire Shield now. As we see Jet jumping straight into Thieves Town.
And, you know, we didn't get anything too significant here in Paradox Cave, but we do have some items that can be used to check not only the Ether Tablet, but we can also check Spike Cave with Comfort now as well. So Yagamoth may be going back around so he can make those checks before leaving.
Yeah, that's some very quick and clever thinking from Yagamoth here. Ooh, there's a
Ooh.
hot rod there in Thieves Town.
And that will be required because we have both Skullwoods and Turtle Rock on the table, so that's an item for both of those dungeons.
Certainly is. Jet says no to the rest of Thieves Town and is gonna head to some of these other Village of Outcasts locations, but maybe we'll see that Skullwoods play.
Yeah, probably. He's right there. He's already cleared out most of it, so... we get the net from the Ether tablet.
Worth.
So worth.
Oh, you put it to work already. I like this. Well, assuming he can get the fairy. Okay, there we go.
Actually, I think he had a second bottle, so he could have kept that B if he wanted.
He did get like the double catch on the one,
Yeah.
one net. That's pretty swag.
We're going to see the digging game here from Jet as we see the item on Spike Cave, which is just an arrow capacity upgrade in Spike Cave.
Not too exciting, but Yagamoth has got that safety now, so we'll see if that ends up coming into play at some point. Jet saying, no thank you, I just had to dig up like 20 times to get just a piece of heart.
I will say, though, his design looked like an F-Zero racer a little bit, so that was kind of cool.
Nice. Alright, so we haven't actually seen Stumpy or South of Haunted Grove here, as we see Yagamoth jumping into Village of Outcasts as well. Oh! We're getting a pedestal check!
I do like this play, you know, considering he did opt out of finishing Palace of Darkness, so he wants to get this information now before he leaves that 2 out of his mind.
Great point, but Jet has just found the Titan's mitts, and it looks like there's just a little bit of love on the pedestal.
Okay, so Yagamoth's going to have that intel for a while before Jet will get that intel as he hops over to the Misery Mire and Desert Palace area. So he's going to be checking this place out. We're going to see if probably boots will be required or not for Desert, but Jet doesn't know what that's on that pedestal yet, so that could be what he's thinking at least.
Looks like Bombos is required for Misery Mire, so we're going to have to be on the hunt for that one. Since Misery Mire is a required dungeon, crystal dungeon, still don't know the requirements for Turtle Rock just yet, but it could be the same, or it could be the Quake that they already have, or maybe even Ether.
And we do know where Ether Medallion is on Lake Hylian Island, so at least that's in well known to our runners right now.
That's very true. And collectible, because we do have the mirror and the flippers to get it.
That's correct. Okay, it looks like boots are going to be required to beat Desert Palace because the big key is on the torch.
Oh man, that can be in a lot of places.
And we're locked out from the rest of Desert right now, too, so Jet's going to have to go somewhere else for the time being.
Yeah, he could have made an interesting play to like steal the key from Desert and try to do some sequence breaking, but probably not worth the time investment.
Yeah, he doesn't know what's on that pedestal yet, so because of that, he probably wants to be a little careful about how he kind of uses, not really sequence breaks, but just moves like that can be kind of risky, because, you know, if there is some on that pedestal, he's going to have to find boots somewhere before he can finish it.
Well, maybe we'll find boots in Ice Palace, because that's where Jet is going immediately.
Interesting play, yeah. It can be done by him right now, so yeah, interesting play.
We've got all the tools we need to beat the dungeon, and a tempered sword to boot, so it'll be a pretty quick cold stare fight.
Yagamoth, meanwhile, going to see what is on top of the bumper cave. Just a piece of heart.
We got 3 items here in Ice Palace, so we'll be on the lookout to count those. An early key is also very helpful to check some of the items on the right side locked by the hammer, which we have, so it just makes the routing a lot more efficient.
Yeah, it also kind of gets runners behind the hookshot requirement, the potential hookshot requirement through the dungeon, because again, it makes those 3 items accessible and pretty much all the other items accessible without having to kind of do bomb jumps or anything of that nature.
Right, and that is an item we're still on the lookout for. We need to find Ice Rod as well. We need Bombos for sure. We know we need boots. And we know where Ether is, but we may have to pick it up, depending on what Turtle Rock is. And then, of course, our lovely Cane of Samaria. Still a ways to go here.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah, it looks like Yagamoth, since he does not have the Titan's Mitts yet, does have to make this kind of loop around the forest to get to that portal.
Certainly takes some time, but he'll probably be right on the course towards those mitts.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
I mean, honestly, he's running out of places to go.
Yeah, that's true. He is. He has to go for some of these other locations now, so should be running into what he's looking for soon, at the very least.
Well, he's certainly going in the right direction. We'll see if he dips into Thieves Town to get that fire rod. That's going to be kind of an important point here.
And if he does dip in, does he go a little further than Jet did? We'll have to see.
Absolutely.
We do get a bottle of blue potion in Ice Palace for one of our items.
Of all places, this is a nice thing to find in this dungeon.
Yes. Yes, this is a good place to get that for sure. Especially if you don't have half magic.
And we do have Yagamoth making this play, so he will likely find the fire rod. The question is, will he go the extra distance?
You know, I've seen races, I've seen games where, you know, making the first 4 checks in Thieves Town paid off, but then they opted to leave, and then there was something further, so you really can't leave anything up to chance sometimes. Sometimes you need to make that little extra step to go further.
Certainly. Jet only getting a compass there out of the iced tea room, and Yagamoth picking up that fire rod. Where to from here? Looks like he's out of here.
Okay.
I think he's off to Skull Woods right now.
He's not really going to be coming back to this area anymore, the Skull Woods area, since Pedestal is officially dead at this point. So figures he might as well just stop on by to finish it up while he's at least kind of close to it.
Yeah, and from his perspective, Mitts can certainly be there.
Yeah, that's true. Looks like Jet is about to drop into his fight against Cold Stare.
Well, he's got a full magic bar. That's the first thing you want. It's 8 to break the shell, and then hopefully we'll see some cool corner strats here.
They get away from him a little bit, but hey, I mean, that's still pretty fast, so can't complain about that. And there's the Ice Rod as the final item in Ice Palace.
How fitting.
How very fitting. Yes, I agree.
That is an amazing find to get early here. That is an item that sometimes you just gotta run around to find.
Oh yeah, it can literally be anywhere except on Trinex, really.
Exactly. But we're about to see a Mothula fight. With Tempered Sword, I expect this not to be a real problem. And I think Jet might be making the same play here, jumping into Skull Woods, but it's just 4 Tempered Slashes to take care of Mothula. Assuming he doesn't troll you in the corner like that.
Yeah, that's a big if there. Okay, so that's going to give Yagamoth his 3rd crystal, but Jet is not too far behind. Jet has to make the play up the Death Mountain as well to get the one at Tower of Hera. And, you know, he has the Titan's Mitts. He can make a couple extra checks that Yagamoth could not make when he was up there earlier.
Yeah, and that could be significant if the hookshot is on that side of Death Mountain, because, you know, Yagamoth may delay going up there for a while since he already did check the lucrative Light World areas.
Mm-hmm. And, like, not even just the hookshot. I mean, if you find Kane up there, and if Quake just so happens to be the medallion for Turtle Rock, like, you could find a lot of items in Turtle Rock, and that could be a possible play for Jet to make.
Yeah, absolutely. And knowing where Ether is, you know, maybe you pick that up before you go up there and pray that you find that red Kane.
Exactly.
So we did find half magic there in the back of Skull Woods, which is going to be amazing for when Yagamoth eventually gets to Ice Palace and up to Turtle Rock, but Jet will be picking that up pretty soon, so I don't really... I mean, his execution was quite fine in Ice Palace. I don't expect that to really have hindered him too much.
Oh yeah, for sure. It does allow you to be a little more creative and, you know, a little more lenient for certain boss fights while having it, though.
Certainly. Now, I'm interested to see how Yagamoth will react to these mitts, because being south of Haunted Grove, you could actually, you know, run back up north and knock out some of the Smith chain items. We saw Jet kind of just get out of there, but you know, where will Yagamoth go is really gonna maybe determine the course of this race.
I mean, yeah, there's been a lot of, like, very interesting little divergences between these two runners, so, you know, it is, you know, I'm very interested to see what each of these runners are going to do next, because there's so many options they can make, and it's really clever how they've been, you know, getting through this seed and doing different things, but still essentially being kind of on the same path.
Alright, so this might be Jet picking up the Ether Medallion.
I think it is.
So he might be hedging that he finds the red cane up there, which we don't know what's in the Dark Death Mountain. We only have access to really 2 items that we haven't seen.
Yeah, we don't have the hookshot or boots, so hookshot cave is completely useless to us right now.
It certainly is, but if there is any progression up there, that's going to be huge for Jet.
And that is going to be his play, so yeah, Jet's going to be up here for a while. And really, really curious what Yagamoth's going to do once he sees this Titan's Mitt, because that'll definitely...
Oh no!
Oh!
Whoops. Mirrored a little bit early there. Oh, man. And now he's bailing on the South of Grove location.
He's going inside desert. Unfortunately, gonna run into the same thing that Jet did. Just gonna be able to find that compass, and that's really about it.
That is really unfortunate, missing out on those mitts there, because he could have done this, you know, from the backside and checked the mire as well.
That was quite the leap, though. I've never seen a Mog jump that high.
The good news for Yagamoth is that his options are very limited, so he will like need to go back to that
location
very soon.
It's still on his mind, so I think that he's probably he's gonna go back here. Maybe he accidentally didn't go to the right place. Okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Here we go. He may also consider making a Swamp Palace play. Hopefully not before he goes to South of Grove to see his options.
Yeah. Yeah, the unfortunate thing about Swamp Palace is, you know, we don't have the hookshot yet, so we couldn't even, like, clear it at this point anyway, so really hope he does go back. He is going south, though. Or it could be Bombos as well.
I think it looks like he's going for Grove. This is great for him, and maybe we'll see Bombos as well.
Yeah, probably. Okay, I think he's in the right place, so he's good.
We made it. We did it. Probably pretty happy he came back.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so he's leaving immediately, and he's gonna peek at Misery Mire. Pretty good play. Just check out what the requirement is. He'll know he needs Bombos. Jet, in the meantime, taking his coffee break and gonna be taking on Trolldorm.
First, though, I think he is going to grab the big chest first, though, because he did not do the bomb jump like Yagamoth did.
Right, right. And then Yagamoth's going to check checkerboard, and then we'll see where he decides to go. Maybe Ice Palace. Maybe we'll see a little trading of places.
Yeah, probably.
Oldhorn not cooperating here with Jet. There we go. Takes him down.
Definitely had an aggressive start to that fight, though. Moldor must have woke up on the wrong side of Tower of Hera, I guess.
Seriously, but that is Jet's 4th crystal. Some of these other ones may be a little tougher to get, though.
Yeah, for sure. We're still looking for access to Turtle Rock. We obviously don't have complete access through all of Swamp Palace yet, and don't have access to Misery Mire either, so there's still a lot of unknowns we have. But we are going to be seeing some new content from both sides soon. Jet's going to probably be going through the light world of Death Mountain, but afterwards we have not seen Dark Death Mountain yet. Meanwhile, Yagamoth doing the Blacksmith quest, so going to get some new content soon.
Yeah, we got hammer pegs, we got smiths, we got purple chests, so we already did bat a while ago to get our moon pearl, so we don't have to worry about that, but it's still a pretty nice play here, and could end up at Bombos and maybe even the dive into Swamp. That is definitely a bit of a risk. I think that's one of the last places these players will want to go, but certainly a gamble that can be made.
Yeah, the randomizer, as fun as it is, it can be quite cruel sometimes, where you could have a case where maybe Canis Samaria is inside the first half of Swamp, and that'll lead to the hookshot in Turtle Rock. Like, it can do stuff of that nature, so you just have to be ready for anything and everything.
Absolutely. Okay, so Yagamoth is going to be fluting out with the chest. It is certainly a faster way to deliver it. Oh, maybe he's going through the Dark World here. Nice. I like this.
Yeah, still needs to check that Bombos tablet, and, you know, that's not something Jet's done, because Jet just recently got the book, so, you know, this is stuff that we have not seen yet either.
Yeah, we'll see if Jet decides to go check that Ether tablet and Spike Cave like Yagamoth did, which were a bit of a time sink, although, you know, you get the net at Ether tablet.
Mm-hmm.
Yagamoth taking that little chest with him to the Bombos tablet.
He
like
just
it.
wants to show. He wants to show the chest what's on the tablet.
Oh, maybe it's good. It is!
Yes, it's very good.
That is amazing, because he is right here at Swamp Palace.
That's true, and like we don't know where Kane is yet. Bombos could end up being in Swamp as well, so you know that going up Death Mountain actually ended up paying off for him early, because now he could get that.
Another thing that just paid off is Jet picking up that Ether Medallion, because he was able to open up Turtle Rock immediately. We haven't seen these two items that he can collect here on Dark Death Mountain, but if he does get that red cane, it's a full clear. We're still on the hunt for Bombos and Boots. And of course, you know, red cane, but we'll
Yeah.
see. But 6 items in Swamp Palace, plus the 2 unlocked by Pyramid Fairy.
Ooh, there's the boots. Jet's gonna be jetting around with those on, and that'll put one more check up here on Dark Death Mountain.
That's right. You can actually get this first chest in Hookshot Cave with the boots. We know we're not going to find Hookshot in there. It is logically possible to find Hookshot here, but Hookshot is at the Bombos tablet.
Oh man, if that was Kane, that would have been insane.
That could have been crazy, but there is the Cane of Samaria in the first chest in Swamp. Holy smokes.
Oh my gosh.
So both of these players with some significant advantages. Jet with those boots, Yagamoth with red cane and the hookshot, being able to full clear Swamp Palace. This is heating up.
Yeah, this is incredible. And, like, you know, just because he's finding all these things, I mean, Jet's not out. Like, it all depends on what Yagamoth decides to do with these finds. Because, you know, if he maybe doesn't go to Ice Palace right away and gambles that it might be in Turtle Rock, that could be very problematic.
That would be rather devastating. He has a really nice route here after Swamp to collect the Ether Medallion and then jump right into Ice Palace. This could be the best time for him to get both of those things done, because they are required.
Yeah, definitely.
Then we're still on the hunt for that Bombos as well. Still out there.
Yep, Bombos is still out there. That's the one item that we need to find out where it is at this point.
Well, it looks like Jet's going to put those boots to good use here in Desert, but this is a pendant, the green pendant.
Oh, right, okay.
But yeah, I guess boots weren't necessarily required, now that we think about it. But hey, they're nice.
Well, yeah, but you know, there could be something here in Desert Palace
That's true.
because Bombos could easily be on the right side. We'll see.
Yagamoth electing to skip the west side of Swamp Palace. A very reasonable play. See it a lot.
Yeah, you could potentially run into all the rest of the items you need, and maybe the map and compass are on that side, so you can skip it entirely.
Certainly. We did find the big key there, so probably going to come back in at least to check the big chest. But he is getting a lot of items.
Yeah, he is. And we've seen him. We've seen him skip a few locations already. Like, he still hasn't gone to Zora. He didn't check Helmasaur for the final item, so, you know, this could be another thing where he knows his opponent is Jet, so he needs to be considering the gambles he makes.
And so far, they've been paying off pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so Jet will be killing Landmolus here. It is the green pendant, and I think he's feeling like he's running out of options, but he still has not checked the Bombos tablet. And probably is resisting Swamp Palace as well, because no hookshot.
Okay, there is the compass on Argus, so there's at least 2 items floating around here in Swamp Palace. So, you know, he might go back in just because it's 2 instead of 1. It's a little hard to justify leaving 2 items behind at this point.
Yeah, that's a tough sell. And he is indeed going back in. Because he's still missing the Ice Rod. He doesn't know about boots, but... I mean, he knows the Desert's boot locked, but he might not need it.
Right.
It's tough. Have we seen Jet check Bonk Rocks or King's Tomb? I don't think we've seen that either.
No. I think he went straight. I think he went straight for Desert. So no, I don't think he has yet. Beautiful Landmo fight though.
Really nice, and an arrow capacity upgrade as a reward, along with that green pendant. So we'll be able to turn that in as well.
Well, he's gonna go turn that green pendant in immediately.
Well, you put in all the work, you might as well see it through.
And yep, and if it's Bombos, profit.
That'll be huge.
Nope, just Sashrala's love and affection, just a heart container. And the shovel inside Swamp Palace.
Wow, okay, so you gotta get the big key in the later part of Swamp and then come back for that shovel, so if the dig spot does have Bombos, then that could be pretty important. Jet might be going for a pedestal check right now, I'm not sure. Maybe he's just doing North Dark World?
Yeah, I think he's going for Pedestal, as you were saying, because this is kind of a neutral middle point you can warp to in the Skullwoods area.
Wouldn't call bombs under bushes very neutral, but that's just his lack of fortune, I guess.
Yeah. Just arrow capacity is the last item in Swamp Palace, so Yagamoth is heading out. And looks like he is heading over to the Ice Palace area. Probably going to pick up that Ether Medallion on the ledge before he jumps in. At least, hopefully he does, because that will be necessary for Turtle Rock.
Yeah, I think he has remembered that, because he's going north here.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful route for him.
Yeah, definitely. And as soon as he finishes with Ice Palace, he can just immediately float over to Misery Mire too and start working on that. Oh, wait, no, he can't. Don't have Bombos. Never mind.
Right, but he
What am I
could go
talking
up
about?
the mountain, get his boots, and jump right into Turtle
Yes.
Rock, which could be huge.
Yes, that would be just as huge, if not more.
Got Sankheart there in the Bonk Rocks for Jet, and he's making good use of those mirror portals to be able to check, the Graveyard Ledge and I'm sure King's Tomb right afterwards. Then maybe we'll see Catfish.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we haven't seen our good friend Catfish yet either. And another location that actually is open to Yagamoth right now is the Pyramid Fairy.
Very true. We also have Hookshot Cave.
Yep, that's
The rest
another
of
one.
that we saw the first item, and I'm not. Did we see what was on the pyramid?
Yes, I believe it was an arrow capacity. So.
Okay. Oh, right, we did Agahnim.
Yeah.
That was so long ago.
I know. Anyway, checking King's Tomb here for just a red rupee.
And this is Jet for you. He's very thorough. He's not going to leave anything behind here. Tries to make a route and sticks to it. Adjust as needed.
That's what makes a really skilled randomizer player. And, as we talked about at the very beginning of this race, Jet is one of the 4 people who went 7-0 during the Swiss stages of the 512-person bloodbath. So, he got that for a reason. He's very thorough and he knows what he's doing. So, props to him.
Absolutely, but the same can be said, maybe in another way for Yagamoth. Calculated gambles can really pay off. Like right now, they're working out. He's made some really great plays, like going up the mountain without the mitts and getting that book, and then coming back down and finding hookshot. Has really delayed Jet from getting where he needs to be.
That is very true. Yeah, it looks like Catfish unfortunately did not pay off for Jet, so he will be heading in the right direction here. He's going to be doing the Swordsmith quest, and that will be taking him over to the Bombos tablet, so he will be getting that hookshot shortly. But Yagamoth has been making forward progress right now, and with that ice rod he's going to find, he could be thinking that Turtle Rock might be the location of that Bombos medallion.
And it's certainly looking like it. I mean, we're running out of places, as viewers and commentators. Like, we don't know where else it could be. It's like Hookshot Cave or that, more or less.
Yeah,
Pyramid Fairy.
Yeah, those are the 3 big ones at this point. There's also the rest of Thieves Town too. We have not seen the rest of that either.
Good point. I forgot completely about Thieves Town. Yeah. Huh? Wouldn't that be funny?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, we'll see how Yagamoth handles this Cold Stare fight. He does have half magic, so he'll still have some Fire Rod shots left over.
He is kind of low on health, but thankfully he does have Red Mail at the very least, so he shouldn't die if he takes a straight-up hit from Cold Stare, but does need to be careful still regardless.
Really nicely done.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's that ice rod. All
right, and that's 5 crystals for Yagamoth. So So he has taken the crystal advantage, or lead here.
He has the crystal and item lead, only looking for that Bombos medallion now. That's the one item he needs to finish this.
Very true.
And he is going straight to...
It's the most lucrative play he can make. Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny Cave from, you know, we know he hasn't been there yet, so he's going to get those boots. And then in addition to that, all of Turtle Rock and Mimic Cave. It's huge.
And, you know, the way he's thinking, like, you know, this is a crystal dungeon I can complete right now. There are some little checks I can make here and there. But at the very least, if I do this, I'm working on a dungeon I can complete right now. If I find it, then I'm in good shape. If not, I can just very quickly check, like, Pyramid Cave or the rest of... Or not Pyramid Cave, Pyramid Ferry. And then just, you know, maybe check the rest of Thieves Town or something. So, you know, he'll have options. But just wanted to focus on that crystal dungeon clearing first, because that will keep progressing him in the seed alongside looking for the item.
It really will. Now, if Pyramid Ferry does have Bombos and Jet checks that after Swamp, that could be an opportunity for him to make up some ground, because he won't have to climb the mountain again.
Yeah, and he'll be able to... well, okay, now he's already completed Ice Palace, but, you know, we'll be essentially, like... We'll be able to check less stuff in Turtle Rock than what Yagamoth will.
Exactly. Yeah, Turtle Rock isn't really like a go-modable dungeon, but you can still kind of go-mode it. There's still a couple chests, like the vanilla big key chest, and you could potentially make some gambles on the big chest and stuff like that to try to get a little bit of time advantage.
Yeah, and there's also Laser Bridge at the very end of it all. You can potentially skip most of that if you happen to get all your keys early.
Absolutely.
We do get the big key immediately within Turtle Rock.
Now Jet is going to do this whole clear of Swamp, so it's going to sink a good bit of time, but he does have the boots while doing it, and Yagamoth does not have the boots right now.
Oh yeah, it looks like he's going for Turtle Rock first before checking those Dark World Death Mountain, but again, you know, it makes sense if he finds the last item he needs in here, he doesn't have to worry about checking those locations.
Very true. But then those boots might, you know, edge
Ooh, yeah,
Jet
that's
up
true.
a little more as he makes his way through these last few dungeons. So it's tough because the G Tower climb is actually really, really tricky without boots sometimes.
And you know, it's not something that happens very much, but you know, Big Key could always be on that torch as well. It's a small chance, but it could happen.
That would be terrifying.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh goodness.
Anyway, very quickly, quick reminder to all those watching in chat, this is only game one of this potential series. Every round in the bracket is going to be a best of 3, so regardless of who wins this match, another match will be played, and you know, until one of the 2 runners gets 2 wins, there will not be necessarily a winner for this group. So, you know, even if this one game goes in one direction, you know, both runners are capable of making it up if they do happen to take the L here.
Vanilla Big Key Chest in Turtle Rock, only 20 rupees. Gonna probably be heading for Mimic Cave next. Actually, now that I think about it, have we seen the dig spot?
I don't think Yagamoth went over there.
So
no, I don't
that's
think
still
we
in
have.
play. Interesting.
Still have to find that mushroom at some point. That could also be the answer.
Oh, goodness. Certainly possible. Jet is going back into Swamp right now.
Meanwhile, Yagamoth checking out Mimic Cave next.
Oh boy, here we go.
You know, not quite bombos. It's just bombs, but, you know, close, I guess.
One letter off.
Yeah.
There's that shovel for Jet, so if he goes and checks it and finds Bombos there, that could be pretty huge.
And you mentioned before, Jet is very, very thorough at these checks, so I could see him doing that, maybe checking dig spot before going up to the bomb shop.
It's certainly a good time to do it when you're over in this part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Turtle Rock is go-modable, or at least Laser Bridge is. In a way.
Yeah,
skippable.
As go mode as you can make it anyway, yeah.
Right. Really nice key placements.
Mm-hmm.
But if you gotta go to Laser Bridge for Bombos, or Trinex even, then, you know, it's all gonna get checked anyways.
Yeah. Okay, is it gonna be on the laser bridge? Got 50 rupees. The map.
Map.
A heart container. And a heart piece, so it is not on laser bridge.
Wow. I don't remember if we've seen that compass or not.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
And Jet is checking the dig spot right now, so this is also some new information for us.
It's gold, but not quite what we were looking for.
And I think Jet's making his way over to the Pyramid Ferry. And I think we do have a compass on Trinex here, so this might just be it.
That's true. It's either this or the rest of Thieves Town.
Right.
Oh, you know, or Hookshot Cave. We have not seen the remaining checks there.
That's a good point. That's pretty lucrative as well. Jet remembering that we have beat Agahnim, so can mirror here for a little shortcut. Hopefully Yagamoth does remember these other locations. Question is, if there is Bombos in Hookshot Cave, I imagine he won't go for Super Bunny Cave if he does check Hookshot Cave first. And then he'll miss out on those boots.
Oh, that's right, yeah. But let's see on Jet's side. We got the mushroom and a red rupee.
Oh,
could be the mushroom.
Wow, just stringing them along there. And we got Yagamoth with this hype Hookshot Cave check. So here we go. Where is it gonna be? Or is it gonna be in Thieves Town?
Gold sword. And there it is. Bombos in Hookshot Cave.
Wow, so Yagamoth has a commanding lead on this race right now. He just has to beat Misery Mire, and then he's back up to Ganon's Tower. So Jet is going to have to put in some work here to try to make up the ground, and it is not looking good for him.
Now, you did mention, like, the one thing Jet does have is that he has those boots, so, you know, throughout this entire process, he will be, like, going through this faster, but it's the question is, will it be fast enough? Because, yeah, Yagamoth is an entire Turtle Rock ahead of Jet right now.
And as you mentioned earlier, we could have a big key on the torch in Ganon's Tower, which
true.
that could really just shake up this race. Now, it's not far to go get those boots, but not having them could be rough. I mean, I could see a situation where Yagamoth takes Super Bunny Cave to get to Ganon's Tower and manages to grab those along the way. So that may end up working out in his favor if he does that. And then he'll probably just seal this match away.
That's true. Yeah, that'll be the kicker at that point. Because, yeah, if he does go into Ganon's Tower without those boots and he sees that they're on the torch, he's going to check all of Ganon's Tower for them first, and who's to know what his mind's going to be thinking after that. Like, just thinking, okay, where can I find these boots? He might think of, like, other locations before even thinking of Super Bunny Cave.
Jet also going to lose some time here because he did jump straight into Turtle Rock instead of going into Hookshot Cave first.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he's losing, I guess, the same time Yagamoth did, but he does have those boots.
Yes, he does.
No early big key in Misery Mire either. Gonna have to hunt for that one.
That's usually how Misery Mire ends up being. You either just get the key immediately, or you just have to go through all the standard checks one step at a time until you eventually lock down where that key is.
Yagamoth putting off the vanilla big key chest in Misery Mire, still not yet rewarded with that big key, so it's either next to the big chest or in that vanilla big key location, but he's gonna go for the dream here.
Yeah, the dream in Misery Mire is to not take a look at that cutscene room. Yeah, it looks like he's gonna have to go back around to it, though.
Where are you going, Yagamoth? Little detour to a fun little sightseeing room? I don't know.
I don't think I've ever seen that room in Misery Mire, honestly.
Yeah, below that room is actually the room where you collect the vanilla big key.
Right.
In the game, so it like kind of hints, hey, here's the big key, but you're like, how do I get there? Where do I go?
Uh-huh. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Vanilla Big Key. Yagamoth on his way to Vitreous now.
Yeah, depending on how Jet routes Misery Mire, he could make up a little bit of time there, but you know, he's still doing these slow Turtle Rock checks in Mimic Cave, looking for that Bombo, so he's gonna have to get all the way through Laser Bridge and Trinex and Hookshot Cave before he can even think about Mire. And then the next big question will be, what is Yagamoth's route up Death Mountain?
Yep, that'll be a big determining factor. I mean, again, it's only a 1 in 22 chance that that big key is on the torch. But, you know, if he goes through Super Bunny Cave, maybe checks 1 or 2 things, he could be covered in that department. They are both in the last 2 rooms of their specific dungeons, but Jet gonna need to pop in through here to check all these chests. Still needs to make the trip to the Hookshot Cave for that Bombos medallion.
Yeah, fortunately for Jet, he can have a nice, easy time with these laser skips. I say easy, but these are actually pretty tricky to do. But he's well practiced in these strats.
Yeah. Execution is definitely something Jet definitely excels in. Whenever I see him race and just play in general, it's just very fluid movement, very thorough checks, so he can definitely handle it.
Alright, so Yagamoth grabs the Riot Shield there, the Mirror Shield, from Vitreous, and has collected his 7th crystal. And what does that mean, Slim Kirby?
That means that we like to play a little game here on the Speed Gaming channels. We have 22 locations where the Ganon's Tower Big Key could be. In the chat, if you want to play along, guess what number location you think that Big Key is going to be on. Do you think it's going to be number 3, where the Big Key on the torch scenario, potentially throwing a wrench into Yagamoth's gameplay? Do you want it to be in Tile Room, the last location anyone wants to check? Feel free and get those locations in the chat.
Where do you think it's going to be, Slim?
I always go with number 8. I just have a very strong feeling about 8 all the time.
Very cool. Yagamoth is taking Super Bunny Cave through to get to Ganon's Tower. He just needs to check those chests, and then, I mean, it's just his to lose at this point, because Jet still has to do all of Hookshot Cave and Mire.
Gets a little trolled by that block, can't hookshot through it, but not too bad, just has to fall down through here.
Jet knows he doesn't have much left. He will get his butter sword here.
He is not opening those chests.
Oh my goodness, that is crazy. Alright, well, here we go, into Ganon's Tower. I mean, he still has a significant lead over Jet. Like, it should not be understated. But if the Big Key's on the torch, this is gonna go south for Yagamoth very quickly.
Yeah, I was wondering when I saw him take that southern pit, because, yeah, that pit was a bit further away from those chests. And sure enough, just walked right by him, unaware that the boots are right there, the one item that could potentially cover his butt for this next part. We'll see. It's only a 1 in 22 chance, but...
Alright, well, here we go. Walking over to these first 2 chests. Where is the Big Key gonna be?
We'll find out immediately, because we did not get a small key for the right side.
Alright, well, here we go.
Okay, Yagamoth is saved from the potential boot requirement at the very end of this scene.
Certainly dodged a bullet there, and now the thing is, it depends how quickly Jet makes it through this mire. This mire is pretty slow, so Yagamoth's in a pretty good situation right now. But if Jet makes a gamble thinking he's behind, because, I mean, he may feel pretty behind with where that hookshot was and where Red Cane was.
Yeah.
He may take a gamble on something like Tile Room to try to catch up.
That's true, yeah, that's very, very true. The seed overall I wouldn't say was like that complicated or, you know, a word that people use. I'm not really a big fan of this trolley. All the items were in pretty reasonable places and didn't really require any double dips of any sort.
Yeah, that's a good point. You just had to kind of... I think maybe one of the tricky things was the book location.
Yeah, the book for sure.
It looks like we are on chest number 9 now with another small key.
Yeah, one thing Jet's got to be thinking, for example, is just that because he did go all the way to the ends of both Desert Palace and Palace of Darkness, you know, that's a lot of time he spent for pretty much nothing. So just knowing that his opponent had a chance of not doing that, you know, may be inclined to make that gamble you were speaking of.
Exactly. And even then, he'll probably still be behind, because Yagamoth is approaching the end of, you know, this kind of this left route here.
Right. Gonna bomb jump over the warp tile there.
Yeah, very clever. Damage boosting will allow you to get out of get away from those warp tiles. You can just cross right over, actually.
I'm probably gonna do the same thing right here as well, because it doesn't have the boots to bonk over.
Ooh, takes a fall there. It's taking up a little bit of time. Wow. That's a good recovery.
Yeah, very nice recovery there.
That's number 14. Not yielding any results here for Yagamoth. Will we see a vanilla big key? No.
Kind of.
Awfully close.
Yeah.
Alright, so Yagamoth does have that big key. He's going up the tower. And I believe that was chest number 16.
Yes, I believe you. That is correct.
Alright, so once again, without boots, some of these rooms can be a little tricky. You can't just dash through these long corridors. You have to deal with all these spikes and try to get through them.
Mm-hmm.
But with the big key where it is, you know, Jet will have to traverse through the majority of the basement of Ganon's tower.
Yeah, he will. He'll definitely have to make that same trip that Yagamoth did, and you know, kind of in that section, there's really not a lot of places where you can use the boots that effectively, so, you know, it's mainly just the tower climb right here that Yagamoth's going through that the boots would be pretty helpful. So,
Right. Maybe that bonk that he was struggling to bomb jump.
yes, exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Really nice gauntlet from Yagamoth there. We'll see how he handles land mode 2.
Yeah, especially that last ice room, too. Just very fluid movement that just went together very nicely.
Having a bit of trouble here. I do know he picked up that fairy earlier when he was over near Spike Cave, so should be pretty safe right now.
Yeah, for sure. There's a little bit of trouble with Lamno there, but does make it through, and he is in the last 2 or 3 floors here, so making good time. Jet still hasn't entered Ganon's tower, but will be doing so very shortly.
Ooh, that was close to a really amazing juke. Just got caught by that guard. Ooh. On 1 heart now, but again, I believe he has a fairy, so I think he's comfortable. You can see it right there in his inventory.
Yeah. It's going to have to wait this out, though, because does not want the doors to close as soon as he makes it down there. Okay, takes the death there. Does have that fairy, so he's okay.
Should be fine, and he does have powder, so in the room right before Moldorm 2, does have the opportunity to catch another one or heal up a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure, and he is not trying to go for any more chests. He has Gold Sword, he has Silver Arrows, he has Red Mail, he has Half Magic. He is not worried about Ganon fight at all.
He even has the Mirror Shield, as irrelevant as that is.
Yeah, he does.
All geared up. Only thing it really doesn't have are boots.
Yeah, that's the one thing he doesn't have.
But well-executed Moldorm 2, and he is off towards Agahnim.
Okay, I hope Yagamoth is good at geometry here, so let's see how this is going to go.
That's pretty good. 2 hits.
Not bad.
Yeah. These patterns are pretty tricky, too. This one looks a little nicer.
If only that last one was a normal shot.
Ooh, now they're all lining up. Very nice.
Yeah, very nice Agahnim fight.
Alright, just a Ganon fight away for taking game 1 of this bracket matchup against Jet. Yagamoth into Ganon now.
Yeah, like by the time he finishes, Jet should have the big key. So again, it went from kind of being an entire dungeon behind to really just half a dungeon behind. So those boots did make up a lot of ground.
They truly did. And again, some of that stems from just... Normally you do have boots by this point.
Yeah,
so you're just used to using them in Ganon's tower. But really nice 1-and-1 there from Yagamoth. Getting through those first 2 phases very quickly. Jet does have his big key.
Yeah, we did find those silver arrows in Hype Cave along with all the other great items in there.
Oh, yeah, that was fantastic. But there's the last silver arrow shot. Yagamoth has taken down Ganon. And
not just Ganon, but has also taken down Jet in this Game 1 matchup with the official SR TV time of 1 hour, 49 minutes, and 49 seconds.
Wow, congratulations to Yagamoth. Really nicely played game.
Yeah, for sure. What it came down to is, they were both so even for so long, but then just that one play up to Death Mountain early to get that book put Bombo's tablet in his mind, and then that kind of led him through the rest of the seed and picked up every item as he needed it in a very efficient manner. So it definitely worked out to the routing he used in this seed.
Absolutely, and also a lot of calculated gambles.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Where sometimes full clearing everything like Jet was doing is thorough, and sometimes the routing works out. But sometimes you just don't find what you need, and you got to make those gambles to make up the time.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more with that. And it looks like joining us inside the voice chat, we have the winner of this race, Yagamoth. GG on an excellent performance. How are you feeling after all that?
I'm cooling down, so quite fine. Thank you. That was quite an interesting ride. For some reason, it kind of stringed together reasonably well after all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you certainly made some great decisions and plays throughout this entire seed, and some really interesting calculated gambles that I'm interesting to hear your thoughts about, like Zora, for instance, very early on.
Basically, on Zora, I kind of realized that it would be like a 3 to 4 minute time investment, maybe not quite that much, but it would be a pretty huge time investment compared to just going for Agahnim. So I figured if Zora is indeed a play in the end, well, that would just be bad luck, although we did have access to Hype Cave and Pod and all those kinds of things, so I felt reasonably confident that's just one location at Zora versus the others that we have access through Agahnim, so I figured that would be a reasonable gamble.
And it certainly was. Hype Cave just chock full of value.
That was pretty fascinating. Basically, my instincts immediately took over, and I was pulled towards Palace of Darkness without even thinking.
And what was fascinating is that both of you were basically, like, frame for frame, we're in Palace of Darkness, clearing that dungeon there and finding your mirror, which was fantastic to see.
I see. So overall, I just kind of felt like Jet was significantly stronger execution-wise, so I did try to take gambles that would kind of save a lot of, well, a reasonable amount of time, but only be, like, small risks overall. Although I'm not sure how small it was to skip that chest in Ice Palace.
Well, it ended up working out pretty well for you. We saw that on a number of occasions, and Jet did end up checking basically all of the overworld and dipped into desert and finished that. Completed King Helmasaur as well, which was another difference. So, all those checks kind of put him behind.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Essentially, I really don't like clearing stuff like the final item for pendant dungeons, even if Helmasaur has an item. It's like, it's a lot of time investment. If that ends up being there, those are the kinds of little gambles that I felt like it's not that big of a chance that Helmasaur has something, and it saves me like 2 to 3 minutes at a time.
Well, definitely, and like not even just like stuff like that, but even just like when you decided to go to Death Mountain, Jet actually went up to Death Mountain with the Titans mid, so we were getting kind of worried that he might gain some ground on you, because he did check Super Bunny Cave, which you walked by at the very end, but the boots were actually inside one of those two chests.
Yeah, I learned that. I was really strongly considering just opening up those 2 chests because boots might fit in there, and at that point would kind of be the latest where they would start being still kind of useful, and did not end up being necessary.
Right, but you know, even with that, like I think in a sense you almost kind of lucked out by going to Death Mountain as early as you did, because that book leading you to the hookshot, which led you right in the swamp right after, giving you the Cane of Samaria, like that was an amazing just chain right there, and you had that kind of going for you way before Jet did. Jet had to check a couple of other locations because he had the boots, and just in general, that just kind of kind of sets you on a good path towards the end, even without the boots.
Yeah, Jet kind of hit a roadblock there, and those were kind of some of the few locations that he could really even check that were available. But Jet did just finish, so congratulations to Jet for finishing up here. It was a long slog for him, but he gave us a good race. You guys were kind of neck and neck throughout until you ended up finding that hookshot, I think.
Yeah, I'd say that was about where things really started taking a turn. Jet did have Ice Palace completed that time while you had Death Mountain cleared out. I'd almost say he was just like a small bit ahead at that point, but then again, having the hookshot early just kind of got you again to that go mode place a lot sooner.
I was actually kind of scared to hear that it was that even, despite me skipping certain locations. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of what I meant with he is really, really good.
Oh yeah, definitely. Looks like we do have him in the waiting room here, so let's see if we can go ahead and get him in here.
And here we have Jet082. GG, man.
Basically everything. Basically full clear this whole game except for one pendant. Because nobody likes to do pendant thieves. Like, it's just not worth it.
I'm proud of both of you guys for avoiding the later part of Thieves, although we were speculating that Bombos could be there.
I was thinking that the whole time. GG Yaga.
GG.
Yeah, I got I was chatting a little bit with Yagamoth after the race, and it's just like I could tell, like, at first I'm feeling okay. By the way, sword in Sanctuary is hilarious because it's like you have to do this whole entire escape, and here, have the sword.
It was great.
And I was actually feeling decent, like getting bow, going right into pod, rewarded with mirror. I'm like, okay, that's worth. It was eventually worth coming here. First half of Thieves, getting Fire Rod, and just getting 3 items on the way. I'm like, I'm feeling pretty good at that point. I'm thinking about Death Mountain. I know it's an item-dense location, but I sort of wanted to wait until I had mitts before I went up there, which is why I put it off in the very beginning. And once I got those mitts, well, let's do ice. So that's just what I do, because it's a dungeon you can complete, which Ice Rod, it's like, okay, that's fine. And then I went to Death Mountain, and I think that was when things turned for the worse, because I ran out of stuff. Like, I got book, but I wasn't able to go check Bombos until later on, which hurt a lot.
Yeah,
the boots actually made me worry this was a pet seed.
Was that just not on your mind?
It just, I had to route it in. The moment I picked up boots, I'm like, oh no, this might be a pet seat, and I never did Thieves. So I had to go check that out, and let me go check the locations while I'm over there. And then let's do the southern route into the first half of Swamp, because I'm running out of places. And I'm like, what if Hookshot's and Thieves at that point? So it just ended up the way I routed to clear all of the things was not in my favor, I would say. Just the order I got everything in.
Well, it was a pretty crazy chain too. You know, book up on. Well, you had to go get the mirror out of pod.
Yep.
To go up Death Mountain to get the book, so that you could go to Bombo's tablet to get the hook shot.
Yep.
And I mean, Kane was in Swamp. That's fine. But then you had to go back.
just to get
hookshot
Bombos.
cave just to get Bombos, and then go back to fire. So it's pretty convoluted.
So I think if I had done right after pod, if I had went up to Death Mountain right away instead, I would have been rewarded with book early, and I could have routed that in after. I probably would have actually. I don't know if I would have done that after Mitts. Like we got Mitts was in South of the Grove, right?
Yes.
So I would have went that way. I would have gotten Mitts. Maybe I probably would have went back and did Blacksmith since I was right there. In which case, I ultimately would have went the Bombos, got Hookshot, and went right into Swamp from there. I think it would have turned out a lot better if I had gone to Death Mountain first. I think that was the play of the game, even though you didn't get boots then. Yaga had no boots at all. He's like, "What boots?"
You walked right by him going up the mountain to Ganon's Tower.
Basically, I thought that I want to just kind of check out the most item-dense location that the mirror now offers, so I immediately went up that mountain. That was kind of the idea. I kind of had Titan's Myth in mind, but there was a reasonably decent chance that it was up there as well.
Yeah, that was essentially I felt like it was a coin flip. Either go do the Village of Outcast stuff, or go up to Death Mountain. And the one thing, I'm like, Death Mountain is nice. 2 items in Hera, plus 8 items over in Light World Death Mountain. I'm like, that's tempting. So it's 10 total. Felt like it's good item density, but I figured if I didn't have Mitts, then there's a chance I'd have to double dip it. Like I'd have to come back up just with Mitts to check the few locations I left. And I'm like, you know what? Let me do the other things first, because I can do all of Thieves, I can do the Village of Outcast area, I can check all that stuff up. It's about the same number of items, but yeah, Death Mountain. I like Death Mountain. It's an item-dense location. There's certain times when I choose it, and I try to avoid going there a little too early when you don't have all the items that you can use to clear. Like, what if Book was... I didn't know Book was up there. I'm like, well, what if Book was somewhere else and I had to go do Ether? I'm like, I
see. My logic kind of was more or less the other way around, where I get potentially a bunch of items up in Death Mountain, maybe even Mitts, and that would allow me to do a lot more stuff in the lower portion of the Dark World.
That's fine. It's basically where we thought Mitts. I was thinking Mitts weren't on Death Mountain, and what if that happens? And you're like, well, what if they are?
Yeah, it's a coin flip. I do agree with that.
Speaking of Mitts, Yaga, you the funniest thing happened to you when you were looking for those Mitts at South of Grove. That was fantastic. You like mirrored onto like the side of the ledge. And then you just like warped to the other side of the ledge. Then you had to come back. We were so happy you went back. We were so happy.
I mean, there were not all that many options left.
That's true. It was just like Swamp Palace and Bombo's Tablet. And...
Yeah, I was actually about to just kind of do South of Grove, then I wanted to go Bombo's Tablet, and then just do the first portion of Swamp at a time.
Yeah. But we thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think that's basically considered to be a major glitch, so I kind of felt like I had to reset it there, so I didn't know what else to do.
I don't think you could have gotten out of that situation.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, once you're stuck there, you're kind of stuck there. But yeah, I mean, what you did is fine. I mean, it's not like it's only if you do intentional major glitches. All that did was lose you time. So.
Yeah, if you like warped into like a void that led you into the Ganon battle or something, then yeah, there'd probably be some problems with that. But yeah, you kind of like just fluted away from there, or saving quit or whatever you did, and then just you did the right thing. So that's good.
So that takes us through game 1 of this match, but this is the bracket stage. We do best of 3s here. So, 1 game up, Yagamoth. How are you going to handle game 2?
Well, hopefully the same way, question mark, but probably not. We'll see.
Don't want to give away too many of your secrets. I mean, come on, you need to play game 2.
Well, I already know he skips a bunch of things.
Well, yeah, as mentioned, I consider Jet to be a significantly stronger player execution-wise, so I feel like I have to make it up with things that I feel like are more or less quote-unquote safe gambles. Although those do tend to catch me off guard reasonably often too.
That's fair.
I certainly wouldn't discount your execution because, I mean, you didn't have boots and you had a fantastic time on this seed and you showed off, you know, what you can do. You were 6-1 in the Swiss stage, so you know we saw a really good showing from you. But I'm curious, Jet. Now that we hear about gambles and such, you seem to be the more thorough player. You kind of like to clear out everything before you move on. Is that going to change?
No, that's what I do. I stick to my rules of how to clear things, and it tends to. It's more about consistency's sake. So I know there's like gambles can pay off sometimes, but I try to be a consistent runner and try to get the consistent like 140-ish times as an average. So I'm not going to change anything. I mean, I did gamble thieves this run. It felt like I don't know. It was a pendant. There was one item, and I'm like, I gotta go for it. I don't usually do that, and you have to understand, like that was early, and I think for about an hour in my head, I'm like, what if Bombos? What if hookshot? What if like it stresses me out. I just hate pendant thieves, like in general. Like for the record, that is the worst pendant dungeon.
I agree.
Crystal all the time, and then it feels good.
Fair enough. Well, we're going to look forward to an awesome game 2 from both of you guys. I don't believe you guys have scheduled that yet, so we'll be on the lookout for that one.
Yep.
Indeed, if I can arrange it, it's going to be hopefully Friday evening. We'll see, though.
Hey, that sounds good to us. So I guess with that, we can start wrapping things up. If you guys are interested in more randomizer action, do not worry. We actually had 2 matches start just a couple of minutes ago on ALTTP Randomizer. We have JTB versus Chex Human. And on Speed Gaming 5, we have Dude versus Prior 57. So check out both of those or one of those. Do whatever you got to do. Should be entertaining races for sure. And of course, make sure you follow all the Speed Gaming channels, Speed Gaming 1 through 6, as well as ALTTP Randomizer 1 through 4. We'll have races going on for a large part of this bracket run. There's a lot of matches we got to get through, and there'll be a lot of fun and awesome matches to come for sure.
Definitely. This was a fantastic race, and there's just more goodness coming. This is just day 2, guys, and we're seeing such top-notch play. Be sure to also follow my co-commentator, Slim Kirby, and a big special thank you to Yoinker's wife for running the tracker for us. Without tracking all this information, it would make our life very difficult, so thank you. But with that, enjoy the rest of the randomizer races for today, and we'll see you guys next time.
Later, everyone.